Brought to you by NORDIC podcast.
Murphy's Law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything that can and will go wrong. No, everything that can go wrong
will go wrong.
And that's kind of how the day almost started, you know?
Yeah.
Misunderstanding with the time. But I'm glad Hanne Sørvaag is here with us today.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got her, but we did. And already, she's world renowned for being not only an amazing singer, but an amazing songwriter. And a lot of her songs has been featured in contests from Melody Grand Prix to Eurovision is everywhere, you know. And it's also, your writing is so versatile. So one can almost never guess, okay, did she write that as well?
Oh, that's so nice.
And that's really impressive, you know, because it's almost like everyone does have a signature way of writing and singing, but your versatility is everywhere.
Oh, that's so nice to hear. And I loved actually trying out new genres. People would ask me, do you write urban? Do you write R&B? Do you write disco? And I was like, yeah, I can try that. I'm sure I can do that. As long as I had a producer who kind of knew the genre, the way how to produce it so it sounded like it, I could always make melodies and lyrics. And they would guide me towards this, no, it's not really a common theme in this genre. And, you know, I've listened to a lot of music, so it was just let's try it.
Right.
And that's why I ended up writing to a lot of different types of artists and a lot of different genres.
Right. Is it the same with your music taste? Do you listen to everything?
I do. I do like a lot of different songs. I just love melodies.
Right.
I love to listen to different kinds of lyric. But I do have some favorites. You know, I listen to country radio a lot.
Country?
So I think maybe country is like where everything is, where I have my heart.
Why? Like, how far back? Because are you Danish or Swedish?
I am Norwegian.
You're Norwegian?
Yes.
Sørvaag, the name threw me off. That shows you how good I am with Scandinavian names.
No, Sørvaag is my family's farm.
Okay.
It's outside of Haugesund. So that's where my name is
from
originated. Yeah.
Okay, so why does how does a Norwegian get into country music in that sense?
Yeah, that's a good question. I just remember loving well-crafted songs, and I think, you know, everything with the songwriting tradition really comes back to country. They're just really dedicated to great, strong melodies and storytelling in the lyric. So I think I just listened to all kinds of, when I was growing up, it was mostly pop music. But then as I grew older, I just noticed, and people were telling me, like, your voice sounds like Dolly Parton, or it sounds country.
Right.
And I was like, country? I don't know. I didn't know. But then I started checking that out, and I just felt like all of those songs really spoke to me.
Yes, actually, now that you mentioned Dolly Parton, I can see it. It does. There are some similarities with the voice.
Yeah.
So where does one, were you always writing as a kid? Was this always something that came naturally?
No, actually, I was just singing. I was always singing. My siblings were just like, is it possible for you to not sing at any point? You know, they were quite annoyed. But my mom was like, when I was really young, she discovered that it was easy to teach me to sing melodies, easier than teach me words and to talk. So she was actually the one who made me go to music education when I was really young, and going to ballet and things like that. So I had a lot of singing and dancing, and when I was young, growing up, and I started singing in a couple of bands, singing in a metal band, actually.
Wow, you entered metal.
Yes, I did.
Do we have any footage or anything of that?
No, unfortunately. I wish I could have some live tapes.
Hanne Sørvaag singing metal would have been really cool, man. How old were you?
I think I was around 15. Yeah,
that's even better.
And I was singing in a lot of other bands as well, but so I didn't actually start writing until someone taught me chords on the piano when I was 18, and I went to this folkehøyskole.
What would that be in English? Like a public school, but not college, public high school?
It's
Folk
just
high school?
for 1 year, and it's
okay.
before you start your education in
Right,
a way.
okay.
After going to high school, I guess. After high school.
Okay.
Yeah, and before
College.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
okay.
So, and that was music, folkehøyskole. And I came up there and someone just taught me the chords. And then immediately when I found chords that fit well together, I began hearing melodies in my head. And I was like, this is not an existing song. This is a new song. I can actually hear a new song in my head. So I didn't know that I could write songs.
But you could definitely, as you said, it just came to you. You just heard it.
Yep.
Would you hear it in fractions? Would it be the whole thing? Like,
well, it came like I heard all the notes in the chord, and that was the thing that triggered melodies in my head. So as soon as I put down a new chord, I would hear more melodies. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, and it's still the way I do it now. I write songs on the piano or the guitar, or someone else has an instrument and they find the chords, and I sing melodies on top of that. But it's the chords that trigger the melodies.
And did you always get inspired? Was it basically after when you started learning chords that this started flowing in?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was.
So you see, that's a really interesting parallel, because it shows a lot of people that you usually get inspired proportionally to the skill you acquire.
Yes, that is so true. And I really didn't even know that I could do this. I probably would have started writing much sooner, because I knew that, to be an artist is great if you can write your own songs. I just didn't think I could do that. I was focused on my singing, and I was just looking for songs that I could sing. And then all of a sudden I discovered that I could write them.
So when you started writing actual lyrics, how far into the, let's call it the inspirational period, where you were getting all these chords, how far into it was it?
That I was...
that you started like actually writing lyrics, or was this also around the same period?
No, it was weird, because the lyrics also came with the melodies. It was kind of at the same time. So that was why it was so weird. I was playing some chords, and then I heard this song, and then I actually had to check that, is this an existing song? No, it isn't.
Because it felt so familiar that you've heard it before?
Yeah, and it had all the words and everything. So I was like, wow. It was really, really cool. So
that's like the discussion, right? Talent versus hard work, inspiration versus... I'm not saying you're not working hard, by the way.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. But I mean, like, a lot of people try to get to that goal in very different paths.
Yes, definitely. And I think that's interesting, actually, that with songwriting, I think there's a little bit of a mystery, because I think you can do the craft, you can work on getting a skill, learning how to play, how to sing, listen to a lot of things to get inspiration, read about songwriting. But then I think that there is one piece in the end that you just have to wait for. And I think it comes from somewhere else. Like there's a difference between just singing all types of different notes and recognizing something that's good, that's like, oh, that's a nice melody. You're just kind of, you're doing the craft like building something, and just always checking, is it good? Is it practical? Does it look good? But then in the end, there is something kind of magical that comes in. I don't know how to explain it, but when you just hear a whole song in your head, I sometimes wonder who wrote this, because I didn't really, make it up.
No,
I just hear it.
It comes through you, not from you.
Oh, definitely. That's what I say all the time. Sometimes I really feel like it's just you get to a frequency or a channel and you hear a song. It can be like that in your own head. It
reminds me of a story with, I think it was Beethoven. Beethoven was deaf, with Beethoven, where he would be getting music this way, and sometimes he wouldn't grab the pen quick enough to write it down, and it would go.
Oh.
So I completely 110% understand, not understand, but I've heard this type of phenomenon before, in fractions, but like the whole song, like with Beethoven, for example. So it is absolutely coming from, you could say, an inspirational source. I do believe that.
Yeah, I think maybe, you know, all these songs and all these ideas and creations, they're just out there, flowing around us. And if you open up to it, it can come through you.
So how do you become a channel to open up to it?
Well, I've only had it happen 2 times in that magical way, where I can hear the whole song, lyric, chord, everything in my head.
That is so happened. Convenient.
Yeah, it's very convenient. But, you know, it has happened when I am not writing, which is even more weird, because you sometimes think that you sit down to write. Maybe that's where you open up the channel, because you're open for ideas and you're saying, okay, fine, I'm ready. I want to write a song. But it has actually happened to me when I've been out driving. I was on my bike once in Stockholm, riding over a bridge, and I was looking out on both sides, and the sun was out in the water. It was really beautiful. And I was looking out, I just thought, oh, that's amazing. And that's when it kind of cracked open, and this whole song just poured into my head. And it's a long song. There is so much lyric. I don't have any other songs with this much lyric. It's a whole story about this girl moves to a small town, becomes, you know, what everyone talks about. And it's so different from everything else I've written.
What's the name of this particular song?
It's called Talk of the Town.
Talk of the Town. Yes, it's one of the top songs on Spotify.
Yeah, and then I just had to turn around, go back. I just knew that I have to get this down on paper. Like you said, I had to be quick. Right. So I just turned around, went back home, and I started, what is this? And the form of the song was also really weird. It was like half a beat there and a different chord there. Some chords I didn't even knew that I knew.
Borrowed chords.
Yeah, and I was like, wow, this is weird. And when it was done, I showed it to my musicians, and they were like, this is a strange and very cool song.
Unorthodox.
Yes.
You should have been like, it's not mine, it's a friend's.
Yes, that's how it felt. It felt like this girl that I'm writing about in the song, I really feel like she is my friend now, because I've been singing about her for so many years, but I'm so grateful and happy that she came to me on that day on the bridge.
Honestly, understanding the background of the Talk of the Town and re-listening to it now, I think it's going to be way better.
It's going to be different.
So basically you're feeling like to be this channel, you actually went away from the work environment in a way.
Yes, that's when it happened. Like and once it happened when I fell asleep. I fell asleep in the studio because I'd been working. No, I hadn't been working late. I was out late.
Changing the narrative, are we? I was out working late.
Trying to get away with that, but I couldn't.
Oh, Lord.
So I came to the studio, and I was working with a producer, and he just said, I'm just going to work on some production, some chords first. And he was like, just hang out and relax. And I fell asleep on the
job.
On the job. And then after a little while, he was like playing with some chords, and he turned around and he was like, hey, are you coming up with anything? And then I just stood up and I sang this whole long melody. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I was so tired, and it was like I woke up in class, it's like, the answer is,
42.
Yeah.
But do you do any meditation? Do you do any? You do?
Yeah.
What type? Like how?
I just count my breaths. It's just something I learned a long time ago. Felt like I was, stressed, and my nervous system was all over the place. So someone just taught me, just sit down, close your eyes, and count your breaths. So I count 1, breathe in, 1, breathe out, and then I continue up to 200. It's about 20 minutes. And that's the meditation I still do.
Daily or weekly?
Try to make it daily. I have this routine where I do 10 yoga poses and this breath exercise and a little chant and the meditation.
That's amazing. Is this usually done any specific time of the day?
Yeah, I like to start my day with that. You know, every day I start with that is just a better day.
Wow. I definitely feel that primes a person also to be in the mood for inspiration, because it's like everybody knows you can't fill a cup that's already full.
No.
So if one has all those thoughts that one is just thinking and not doing anything but just, mulling over those thoughts, like having food in your mouth and just chewing it and never swallowing it, you're never going to get that inspiration, because something's always there. It's always full.
That is true. You sometimes have to empty yourselves for
Right.
something to come in.
And to do that, one does have to, you could say, prime the mind or process what's there. And I feel such a habit, like you just described, definitely makes you way more connected to whatever source is inspiring you.
Yeah, I think so too. And sometimes I really felt like when I was going to yoga, someone said yoga is to quiet the monkey mind. And I really felt like I had a monkey mind, like ideas and thoughts and
Right.
like, and I was like, yes, I really need to quiet that. So I still feel like that's what I'm doing.
How long have you been going to yoga, you mentioned?
I started doing yoga 20 years ago, actually.
Whoa.
When it was really strange and people were like, yoga, what is that? Now it's all over the place.
Yeah.
These last 20 years, a lot have happened in the West. But the ones who introduced yoga first in the West said that might be a little hard because our egos are very strong. So, but it seems to have a good impact on us either way.
Would you consider yourself like a spiritual person?
Yeah, I think so. But I just read yesterday that everyone is a spiritual person because it has to do with breath. So if you're breathing, you're a spiritual person.
I like that. I like that. No, definitely, I do believe every human has and is primarily first a spiritual being.
Yeah, but then again, is everyone spiritually aware? I think everyone can get there.
Yeah. What do people need to get there?
I think the only way out is in. I
That's
think
good.
you have to go within to get through. So
the only way out is in,
Yeah.
and you have to go within to get through.
yeah.
I like that. I really like
Yeah,
that.
it is nice.
No, absolutely. And it does take a lot of discipline and a lot of, you need a high pain threshold
Yeah.
to go within.
Yeah.
Because everyone is always distracted. Either it's music, listening to always something, except this podcast is not a distraction.
No. This
So
is enlightening.
there you go. So it is always, one of your five senses are always going to be hit.
Yeah.
Have you heard of this dopamine fast?
No.
It's a bit extreme for some people, but basically you go like, let's try even a day. A day fasting from dopamine. So you basically don't do anything you love. And if you want to eat, you eat, but you don't eat foods. Like you eat oats with no sugar. Like you get your nutrition.
Very plain.
Very plain. And that kind of resets also a lot of your dopamine receptors. And so it's like a dopamine fast. I did hear you have done intermittent fasting.
Yes.
So you know more or less about the benefits of
Yeah.
fasting.
And I just read in the yoga book I'm reading right
Okay.
now, that there was this program with, really plain oats in the morning and some soup in the afternoon. But it was also to reset the body, to be more, to get the best out of the food you're actually
Exactly.
eating. So you don't put salt and sugar in everything. And
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the same with a cup of coffee. You
Yeah.
drink a lot of coffee, your threshold goes way up.
Yeah.
So that I feel also, to go within, like we're trying to say, one has to pull back certain stimulations.
Yes, and we're so stimulated now from, every corner. Everyone is trying to inform us about something or stimulate us or get us addicted to something. So it is actually really important to go within, listen to what's going on there, but it can be scary sometimes because we're actually trying to avoid that. We're trying to avoid some of our thoughts, some of our feelings, and how we do that is to get dopamine or, some things that distract us. then you go within and you see it's not that scary. It was actually just something your intuition may be trying to tell you to slow down or listen to this or be mindful of this. You know, it's a great navigating system that we have within, but sometimes we just don't want to listen to it because it's not that much fun. But in the long run, it's really good to listen to it.
Yeah, you're right. It is. There is definitely a reason why a lot of people are scared to do it. I'm sure that differs from person to person.
Yeah.
But I feel like the later one pushes it away. The later one kind of waits for it. The harder it is to do it.
Yeah.
Because then you kind of have to admit to yourself that for the past X amount of years, I could have been better. You know?
Yeah.
That's a bit painful.
Yeah. It's, you know, it's smart to think of it as an ally. It's not your opponent. It's something trying to help you.
Right.
Do better, feel better. But it's just that our society is always seems to be telling us something else. So then it's a contradiction there.
Then how does one, now we're going like almost philosophical.
Yeah, I love it.
That's good then. Then how does one impact the society's narrative as an individual?
I think we can change the world, but we have to start with ourselves. So if you want peace in the world, you have to find peace within. And sometimes we're so angry at everything that we think is wrong that there isn't peace within ourselves. So how can we expect to see it out in the world? So if you want more love, then we should stop hating the hate and just cultivate more love.
Right.
And if you want peace, then try to find the peace in yourself.
Right.
Instead of, you know, adding more anger to the wars and everything that's wrong. So focus on what you want more of instead of focusing on what's wrong. Because if you're always walking towards what you perceive as a solution, you can handle the problem better.
Absolutely. It actually reminds me of a quote that goes, when a thought of hate comes, fight it with a stronger thought of love. When a thought of war comes, fight it with a stronger thought of peace.
Yeah.
So just like you said, you know, you do not focus on the hate or the war, but the remedy.
Yeah.
And you push that back.
Because or else you're just adding more of the anger, the hate. You're contributing to that.
Exactly.
If you allow all of that to grow within you. But I think it's natural though, because you have a feeling of how you think it should be, and then when you see things that isn't in harmony with that, you feel kind of frustrated and angry, and a lot of things that are happening in the world right now it can really upset us. You know, it is upsetting to see how people, animals are treated, but still it's so important to start with ourselves and try to find that within ourselves. That's the beginning. Exactly.
How important is it, you think, being in that position when one wants to also be creative? How important is that, is foundation of, you know, being aware, working with yourself, having that, you could almost say spiritual foundation when it comes to creativity? Or is it important?
I think it's really important, because I think after the more spiritually aware I've become, I feel like I also see much more of the magic and the spirituality in the creativity, because that's when I started to think that this is magic, what's going on, you know, writing and then sitting, having breakfast, and then all of a sudden hearing a melody in my head and going over to the piano and playing the whole melody with one hand without even knowing that those were the actual notes. So sometimes I feel like there must be something spiritual, because all of a sudden I'm doing things that I don't even know that I have the skills to do. So the more I've practiced being,
whole,
focusing,
right.
I see it in the music and in the creativity as well.
Because, I mean, it makes absolute sense. If everything's interconnected the way we believe and we feel it is, there is no reason for an individual to have everything in order except this one aspect
No.
and then still function optimally.
Yeah.
It's like nutrition. You know, you need a balanced nutrition. It's the same as a person, well, physically, spiritually, mentally. It has to be balanced. You can't ignore something and then overcompensate in another area and think it's going to balance it.
No.
You know?
No, you have to take in. It's like we have all these different types within us,
Exactly.
and everyone has to speak their mind. It's like a board meeting. You know, one is impatient and one is really calm, and one is
Right.
wants this and one wants that, and just let everyone speak their minds. And okay, so what do you want? Well, I want this. Okay, well, fine. We'll try to take that into consideration. And well, I want this and that, and everyone's anxious to
Right.
get their minds through. But in the end, you see that there is a balance there. If you can just try to let everyone speak their minds and be mindful of everyone, like nutrition. Yeah.
You seem like a very centered, positive individual, a very anchored person.
I'm happy to hear that.
That's, I mean, there was a misunderstanding with the times, and I came like 5 minutes late, and I was first thinking, okay, we put up a lot of a whole day for her, right? We cleared everything, and then still this happens, and then I was thinking like, okay, how am I gonna, like, what am I gonna say? And I was like, you know what? As I showed up, I just started laughing, and then she just started laughing, and I was like, okay, you know, she gets it. She gets it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I mean by, you seem like this centered person that understands the bigger picture and really isn't swayed by the emotions or the toils of you know, the superficial, the meaningless.
Yeah.
So going through 2020, how have you been like? Because 2020 has been an interesting year,
Yes.
to say the least.
Yes.
How has that affected you, or has it affected you? What are your thoughts?
Well, I feel like I found the best way to deal with it. I'm very happy that I've had so many years of training in the music industry where things have changed so much the last years. When like the industry now is so different from when I started, with the record sales and the types of gigs, and you know, we had all of these companies going bankrupt, festivals going out of business. You know, so many things have happened that we have kind of adapted to a flexibility that we really, really could use now when this happened. Of course, it's hard because the record sales and everything has already disappeared, and then people started playing more to manage, and now the gigs are also,
Right.
fewer, and for a while now it's not going to be the same.
Right.
But I still just felt like, okay, well then what can we do? And if I try to be flexible, be like the willow tree, you know, in the wind it kind of just lays down for a little while and it comes back up because it's so soft. While other trees, they might just break in the storm. The willow tree just kind of bends and moves in the wind and then comes back up again. So that's what I felt like I wanted to do. Can I use this time to write more songs? And I have, and it's been really, really good. And I've also had time to do some other things that I normally don't have time for. Like more yoga.
Yeah.
You know, I love that. And I've had Spanish classes. Just
Really?
Yeah, just
a little bit. You've just started, or?
No, I've had I had Spanish in school years ago, but then I haven't practiced it as much because I was really good back then. I went to Spain all the time to practice, but now I just felt like I needed to freshen it up, and I needed also to level up, you know, to get really good at the grammatics and everything.
So we might start getting Spanish songs.
Yeah. I thought about actually trying to translate one of my songs myself, because I've had a lot of my songs being translated into Spanish. But I haven't done it myself. There's been someone else doing it, so that would be fun.
It will, especially if you get inspired a whole Spanish song.
Yeah.
You'll be like,
Sí,
or whatever.
Fun. Yeah. All of
excellent.
a sudden, the ideas start coming in Spanish.
But this skill of writing, is it transferable into any other let's say, creative industry?
I think so. I think when you've been writing a lot, thinking about words and listening to words, I think, like I'm writing a book about songwriting, and it's actually about a lot of the things that we talked about, the mystery of songwriting, because that's what I'm so excited about now, that you can learn how to do it. But what makes a song go from just good to amazing? What is that last piece? It's like something holy comes into it and just adds a little sparkle, or because we do the same. We find some chords, we sing some melodies, we talk about a theme and find some lyrics. So why is the song on Monday good and the one on Tuesday is just magical?
Yeah.
I think it's that someone else or something else is helping us.
Yeah.
And you can't force that. You can't just push it, because it kind of is like a wildflower. It blooms when and where it wants to. So you just have to wait for it.
No, it's absolutely, the hardest part of, I think, because I can't write,
Yeah.
but it's absolutely the hardest part of music creation, because you do have producers who do make beats. You do even have AI softwares that can more or less create a tune. Now, it's not going to be as good as a human being, but I don't think we're anywhere close to a software creating lyrics.
No, I don't think so.
Hits a human's ear right.
No, because it has to describe some kind of emotion that people recognize. That's always the songs that do really well, if someone manages to explain an emotion so that people feel like, oh, I'm not alone. Someone else has felt this too. And I think that's really, really the core of why we're writing lyrics, so that we can tell each other that it's going to be okay, and that we have the same range of emotions. Mostly, we're not that different.
No, and it's true. That's why we do have a very few, let's say, genres of art crosses across all languages and all types of people. You know, obviously paintings and obviously music.
Yeah,
you don't even need to understand the lyrics sometimes.
No,
you just have to listen to it, and then you're like,
yeah. And sometimes the melody also has the feeling in it that the lyric is about. Those are also the best songs, when the lyric and melody are so connected that you can actually almost hear what it's about without understanding the lyric.
So have you ever thought about writing, or have you written for, let's say, series, movies, animations, Disney?
Yeah, have I? I think I have. I think I have a couple of songs in some movies and some series. I'm just not sure what.
But never created specifically
no,
for
not
it in
specifically.
mind. Okay,
No.
okay. Because then I was going to be like, is the creative process different?
Yeah. I have created, though, for these TV shows, and the process is a little different there. So for writing a song that you want the artist to express their emotions, and you want it to fit their image and their sound, and maybe go on the radio, that's one thing. But then when you get to it being performed in a TV show, you need to have this visual thing with you also, and it can't fall. It has to be just rising all the time, because you have to keep everyone's attention, and this is a live performance, and it happens right there, and it's 3 minutes, and you just cannot afford to lose their attention.
Right.
That's why they have a lot of modulations also, because then the song keeps rising, and it doesn't fall anywhere.
No, that's again, one wouldn't think about it if one doesn't have it pointed out.
Yeah.
Learning a lot.
Yeah.
No, I see that. And so now, like, performances are getting obviously scarcer when it comes to arenas, you know, because of COVID and everything. But I don't think it's going to last forever.
No. But
do you think there will be a permanent replacement? Is streaming enough? Streaming artists' performances enough?
I think it's good that we have this in addition, that some shows can also be streamed for the people who can't be there or doesn't feel comfortable going to concerts in that setting. But I think I just did one streaming concert, and for me, it was like it took away the most important part, which is where I connect with my audience, and I feel like I'm giving out all of this energy and vibration from the music and from the stories, and I get so much back. So I go backstage afterwards, and I am high. I'm walking on air. And then on the streaming concert, I was doing all of this into a camera, and I was drained afterwards because I had not gotten any energy or anything back.
I see.
So I just felt like, no, for me, I don't think I can do that. I don't think streaming is a long-term replacement.
No, that's actually something now the crowd doesn't really understand, or the viewers, that... Because when you think about performance, you don't think that it's a two-way street. You rarely do.
No.
You don't think that, okay, the person on stage, we are getting that amazing performance, but just by us being there in the present, listening and enjoying it, they are getting something out of that.
Oh, so much. I sometimes say that I hope you're having as good a time as I am, because I am having an amazing time. And I think, you can feel when you're on stage if the audience has come in having, open minds and hearts, and that makes it so easy to give, that you can just feel like you can just pour it out because they are open to receiving. And that's what gives you so much back. Then it feels so good to give.
Do you have any, well, you obviously did have role models or idols you looked up to, but are they still the same role models for today? Do your role models change with time?
Actually, I when I was young, when I was growing up, it was Madonna, Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson.
Of course.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson, of course.
like everyone.
Right.
And then, just added on to that. Then I was 13, I think Sheryl Crow came out with their Tuesday Night Music Club album, and I was so hooked. And she is still one of, I just love that she's been going more and more into the country vibe also, because I feel like you can hear it, although it's a pop album, but you can hear the country influences. Yeah. So, and also Dolly Parton, people kept telling me I sounded like Dolly Parton. I was like, I have to check this broad out. And I did, and, there was no going back.
No.
The beautiful melodies and the uplifting, positive lyric has just been a part of what's inspired me all these years.
Would you ever come out with a full country album or something in the future?
Yeah, I think maybe I have one but it's a pop country crossover album, so I think that it's inevitable that sometime in the future there is a more like real country album.
Traditional.
Yeah.
That would be amazing to hear.
Yeah.
Well, everything you make is amazing to hear.
Oh, thank you.
And I have seen also some, well, I wasn't there live, but some live performances. And also you have a lot on your Instagram feed, some live performances.
Yeah, I do.
And I was blown away with like your covers.
Yeah.
Where you take a really known song and you put your own twist to it. Most covers are good. But, all covers are uniquely expressing the artist's signature on it, So one can really compare cover to cover, but that rendition was really unique. I've forgotten what cover the song was. It was a known song.
Was it I Will Always Love You?
Yes, yes, it was. It was really good.
Yeah,
it was really good. So you did speak briefly about like your role models, right? Did you have any musical talent in your family?
Well, I think everyone in my family were music lovers.
I see.
So they played a lot of music. We had a vinyl player, and they loved music. My dad would just listen to the same song again and again and again. It's like he got hooked on something. So I have all these songs that feel like the soundtrack to my childhood. And my mom loved music and played piano. And my grandfather had a really nice voice. So I went to church with him, and I sat next to him. And when he was singing, I was like, wow, it has this great deep frequency. And I was like, wow, he is amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I think there were a lot of talent
Right.
and interest
Right.
in music, but none that had really done that for a living.
Mm-hmm.
So they did think that it was a little strange that I was going to do that for a living. But they were like, oh, okay, so you want to be a pop star. How do we do that?
Was there any specific field they wanted you to study instead?
Yes, my grandfather said I should become a teacher. And
You can be a teacher of music.
yeah,
It's still,
definitely,
you know.
definitely. And I'm actually going to do that next fall because, I think it's time to give back. I have a lot of things I want to say about songwriting. And I think there are a lot of great young songwriters out there that I would like to work with.
That's exactly it. I do know a couple of close friends in the. You could say that they are up and coming. They're young.
Yeah.
They have the talent. They're still figuring out maybe their sound or their lyrics. And obviously, I'm in no place for advice to give them, though. You could say in behalf of them. What we have spoken a lot about. How to be a channel, how to you go within yourself, and be a right. You could say tool to be inspired.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you would share to these up and comers?
Yeah, because I since I have talked a lot about the kind of mystery and magic to it, then I think it's also like if you start with a craft and learn as much as you can, you have so many choices. You will always have the option, and you can also write songs on your craft. I think a lot of the songs I've written have also been like just trying out different things and saying, yeah, this sounds good. Let's go with that. So maybe the amount of the magic hasn't been as obvious in all the songs. So it's important to have your craft in place first. And I think actually more and more of this strange thing that you can't really describe or put your finger on is going to come in more and more, and just allow it. It's not something you try to catch, or it's not a worthless session if you don't feel like there's any magic happening, because sometimes you just have to keep working, and then now and then something magical will happen.
Absolutely. I feel it's the same parallel with even your regular thoughts and language. What I mean by that is you will never think a sentence with words you don't understand. So your thoughts are always going to be within your own vocabulary.
Yes.
So if you widen your vocabulary, if you learn new words, you're going to widen your thoughts. You're going to think deeper and broader. And it kind of like I relate to that when you say work on your skill, widen your skill, and thus you will widen the inspirational range. So absolutely, it is a hard skill, and then it is a inspiration. You help inspiration help you.
Yes, definitely. You have so many choices.
Yeah.
If you know a lot of things, and it's like really, really good singers. Sometimes they can just make up amazing melodies because their range is they can sing whatever. But sometimes they make so complicated melodies that no one can actually sing along. But it's and then your range might not be that big, but you write good, memorable, strong melodies that people can sing along to.
Right.
So there's a strength to every level, actually.
Absolutely. I mean, the most memorable songs are nursery rhymes, and they're very basic.
Yes.
That stick with you for life.
Oh, it does. That's always the ones because most people have a normal understanding for music. Most people are not musicians. So if you want to make it in songs on the radio or, reach like most people, it's important to not get too, how do I say it? Not get too fancy about it either.
Okay.
Sometimes it's nice to just have a clear, good melody that people can actually sing along to and learn after hearing it once and then wanting to hear it again and can sing along to. If you want big hits, I think it's also important to keep that in mind, that it's not too too difficult.
Mm.
But for me, it's really been, I haven't been trying to make my songs easier than I wanted them to be. I actually wanted them to be like that because I love a great, strong, clean, and sometimes simple melody.
Right.
Yeah.
No, but this book you're writing, because already now I'm learning so much, and I'm not thinking of entering the music industry so at all. But I'm sure all this is in that book. But how far are you along it? Like.
Well, I've set aside a couple of months next year to finish it.
Oh, okay, already.
But I have like the chapters. I have the core.
Right.
This I want to talk about this. I want this to be. I want the rule of 2. You know, something that was a real breakthrough for me. That you repeat things at least 2 times before you introduce new things, new melodies.
Like within the song, you mean?
Yeah, because then. It's almost in every song, you just don't notice it. So it's like about the form. So you don't, it can be a little bit all over the place, and you lose people if you don't repeat something that feels natural. Like, okay, you hear one melody line, and okay, that one comes one more time, okay. And now there's something new.
Right.
And now there's a new, like a pre-chorus here, okay, and that's also repeated twice. Okay, I like this, you know.
Right.
It's like you keep the listener calm because they can follow this.
Right.
So I write about that, and I write about all the, not the rules, but the tools, and then you can choose to use them or not, because it's like I also have this song that I have an example where they don't use any of those rules or tools or whatever you want to call it, and it's still an amazing song with such charm and identity. So it's like first I introduce all the things, the good advice, and then I tell them that you don't have to use these. You can still make an amazing song, but it's just sometimes
to have them aware of it.
Yeah, right. Be aware of them, because if you're going to break the rules, it's always nice to know about the rules first.
No, absolutely. It's the same with everything, with sports, with games. The better you know the rules, the better you'll be at bending them, breaking them.
Yeah, finding your own. I just want every songwriter to find their own method, because I know what my method is. So I'm just sharing what has worked for me. But what worked for me was actually picking up one advice here, one thing I was doing through practice, and another advice there, something from a book, something from a song, and I made my method. And I just felt like this works for me. And I want everyone to, so maybe if I make this book, maybe someone is making their method, and they can take 1 or 2 things from my book and one from someone else's book, and something from their own experiences, and make up their own way to do it.
Honestly, even though it's about song and songwriting and music, the tools that you have mentioned are applicable everywhere in life.
Yes, that's true.
You even spoke about, the repeating twice to calm people down. This is good negotiation tactics.
Yes.
This is like, you've probably heard of Masterclass, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not sponsoring us. Masterclass. So there's this guy who was an FBI negotiator, and he had a chapter on mirroring. So you mirror the person you're talking with, not only in how you sit, obviously not imitating, but mirroring. Yeah. So it is a subconscious way of imitating. But also you mirror what they say, and then you repeat it. So they understand that you understand them. Yeah. And when you said, to keep them calm, it has that again. So it's really tools that are universally applicable.
Yes. It's nice that how to write a song can also be how to live life.
Exactly. And thus that book is not only for musicians.
No, and I think it could be in when it comes to creativity, in all forms, really. I think it will be, but I'm directing it to songwriters specifically.
Of course.
But I also think that it can be. Yeah,
applicable elsewhere.
Yeah.
Do you have any other creative talents, or are you hyper specialized?
I think I have hyper specialized in the songwriting. I think, but you know, it is new to write this book. First, I just wrote it as just kind of like an instinct. I wrote the book as I would write a song. It's really quick and it's just get all out there. But then I understood when it comes to a book, you have to rewrite and rework on the chapters, the way you want to say it, and so it's a different way to write. But I'm learning as I'm doing it.
Yeah, no, you seem to be absolutely on the right track, because I mean everything you're saying. There's a quote I know that says exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
I think it was Christopher Nolan who said, he's a movie director and a writer, and he goes, good writing, it's all about rewriting.
Yeah,
that's exactly what you said as well. You go, it's a bit different with writing a book. You have to rewrite a lot.
And it just, I rewrote the whole thing as my first instinct was like, oh, I have to write a book about writing. And then when I went back the next time, it got so much better. Only the second time I went in and like, no, we can say this better.
Right.
We can do this better. Yes, I know that this is it was like I had just spoken the book first, like I would say it in like teaching students.
Right.
But now writing, thinking that they were going to sit and read it by themselves, it was different. I had to make it better.
Right, polish it each time.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I see that, first of all, I'm really excited for the book.
Yeah.
So, you said next year, right?
Yeah.
Next year, okay. Do we have a title?
I'm not sure yet. I'm working on the titles because I think it has... I'm actually working on 2 books. And one, I think, is just how to succeed with your songwriting. Just much more... pointers on the craft.
Okay.
And then there is the one about the mystery. So it has to be something with the mysteries in songwriting or something like that.
Okay, we'll have to wait. We'll have to follow you and just wait. Because you've also been like a judge on multiple shows and talent shows, right?
Yeah.
So obviously you have the ability to recognize what needs improving, what people have, and also recognize gems in the making, you could say, rough talent. Or so how do people know? Because there are probably a lot of other sisters that are singing at home and their brothers are like, quiet, So how do people know if they are these gems in the making, if they have what it takes per se?
I think it's just always about, if you really, really want to do something, if you really feel that this is what I want to wake up in the morning, I just want to sing, I just want to write, I just want my songs to come out there, be on the radio, I want to sing on these big stages. If you have that vision, I just always say go for it. And that's a thing about dreams. If you have one, the point is just to go for it. It's not, the point isn't even if you succeed. It's just to know that you have tried. And it will give you so much just to try. And who knows? You might make it.
Right.
Because if you can see it, you can do it.
Right. How do you handle failure?
Not very well. I don't. I've never gotten better either.
Right. So what is not very well? How does that look like?
It's just a huge disappointment, and I have to mourn for a while. It's if a song doesn't go well, or a performance, or reviews. I don't get good reviews. I just have to cry it out. I just have to feel sad for a while. Okay, it didn't go as I planned. And, there's just this big disappointment because I have always had high expectations. And I'm working on that too, because sometimes maybe I could try to not have these high expectations and then maybe avoid some of the disappointment. But this is the way I am.
Right.
I've always done that. And I think it's part of my success too, because I can see it so clearly before I do it. And some of these things have actually come true. So maybe I just have to accept that I see it so clearly, and that's why either it happens
Mm-hmm.
or it leaves me very disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's just part of how I do it.
So, are you your own worst critic in the sense that even if the reviews are amazing, but you felt it didn't go well, would you be swayed by the reviews that, oh, I guess it went well, or would you be still dissatisfied because you didn't feel that it went as well as you wanted, as well as the vision?
Yes, it's. I have to feel like it's amazing myself to hear if a critic says that it's amazing.
Okay.
It has to I have to agree with them, and that's why sometimes if the reviews are bad, it's just painful because I don't agree. I thought that this
Right.
album was amazing, so that's why it hurts.
Right. Of course. I mean, you've laid you could say your heart, your soul into your work.
Yes,
it's
it's
never a
very
nice process.
personal.
Yeah.
So, but I've just accepted that. Okay, take some time. I'll get over it. And although now I'm just a little. I don't want to send my albums to reviewers anymore. So I don't know. Maybe I've taken a little step back. I might come back, but for a while it just felt like it's something this is my process, my songs. I just want them to come out to the people who can receive them, who can maybe help them heal something they're going through. I don't necessarily want to give it to someone who might just ruin the whole experience for me.
Yeah.
And so now I've just actually stopped sending them to reviewers. Although you can get some good promotion out of it, I don't think it's worth it anymore.
A lot of big, in other genres, a lot of big artists are doing the exact same thing. They have stopped releasing albums first to reviewers because they're seeing that it's social media, once that has snowballed, before the music is even out, people have made up their mind without listening to it.
Yeah.
The last one that did it, for those who know me know, I talk a lot about Eminem, but his last 2 albums, he didn't send them out for review, straight to Spotify. He didn't even say the release date because he doesn't give people time, like reviewers time to review it and criticize it. And it's a shame that these, because they had a duty, the duty was to review art honestly.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, they have misused this power, and all the artists are going away from that now.
Yeah. It started to become much more about them and their voice. And I understand that they were also looking for their place to grow and to get a name and stuff. But I just felt like I didn't want it to be on my account or
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, it shouldn't be on your account, for them to make up a name of themselves.
Yeah.
It's one of the toughest industries, music.
Yeah.
If not the toughest, because it is I don't want to say saturated with talent, because you do have people who can play the piano amazingly, right? But then you will find an 8-year-old kid in an Asian country who has way better talent. So talent is everywhere, but as you said, there is something extra that takes the good to unique or to iconic. There is something extra. Talent is almost not enough.
No, and it's like it's showbiz.
Yeah.
It's a combination of different things. It's also your own vision, your own. I'm just convinced that people who think that they are supposed to be there, are supposed to be up there in the lights, or they're supposed to do this, supposed to get out. They're the ones who actually do it. So there is so much talent, but it also has to do with your own
drive or ambition.
Yeah, your own conviction or your vision about. Because I just know that so many of the things that happened to me were things that I had already pictured in my head. And I also think that a lot of people have pictured these things in their head but didn't get to experience them. So I don't have the full explanation on how these things work, but it was how it was for me.
Honestly, it is inspiring because one doesn't really know when one will end up. It's everything's always in retrospect, and a lot of people have to choose obviously now between like that dream of or their day job, and one tends to make either real or not real excuses or barriers like I can't, I have to do this, or I can't, I have to do that. Do you feel that there's a way to do both? Do you feel that there is, or did you just jump with both feet into the music industry, and because you knew with conviction that you would make it?
Yeah, I had that. I knew it, that this was what I was going to do. I felt these melodies. I felt the music so strong within me, and it was just like I have to get this out to people who want to hear it. So it was just so strong. There was no other option for me. But I know that I noticed that people are doing it in very different ways. Some people are actually just, I was actually thinking I was going to become a lawyer, so I'm actually studying. But then this music thing took off, That can work too. Yeah, sometimes it just works.
Right.
And then I think sometimes we can also want things so much that we kind of hold on to it so hard that it isn't allowed to grow.
Exactly.
And that's what happens when some people are focusing on something else and they still put everything into, this is fun, and they're doing it. Sometimes if you're light and easy about something, it can just develop very light and easy.
Exactly.
And then it works and it succeeds and it reaches people. So there are different ways of doing it. But I believe in, of course, having this urge to do something. Really, I have to do this. Then you have that force within you. Then you're the motor.
Exactly.
And you will keep it going, even if it's hard, like it is in the music industry.
Very.
But it can also, if you think it's easy, it will be easy.
Are you competitive?
I have been very competitive, but now with all this yoga philosophy, I just see that we are all one.
Right.
There's more than enough to go around. Right. You get everything. You can manage to be happy for anyone else that has. If you walk around and just say, yes, that's great to everything, and everyone who succeeds or has something that looks amazing, I think that's when you invite it in. So I'm just much more there now.
Exactly.
I don't want to succeed so that everyone else has to lose in a way. I want everyone to win. I want us all to win.
That's beautiful. No,
like,
I get that.
There's more than enough to go around.
Absolutely. No, that's a really good answer. I mean, and it's a really good philosophy too. Honestly, there is more than enough to go around. 1,000 ways, as they say, 1,000 ways to shine. It really has to come down to
and we're all in this together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Finding a way to be together, just like that.
Yes, it's just more of the hippie philosophy now. I used to want to win at any cost over everyone else, and then now I want us all to win.
Did you do any games, sports? Where did your competitiveness go?
I just think it came from. I think it came from me wanting to succeed in music, wanting to be on top of the lists, being on the biggest stages. I think it came from that. And I had it in the Dancing with the Stars competition.
Right.
I was really driven. I was like, I am going to win. And people were like, are you kidding? Nope, I'm going to win. And they were like, and nobody else said it.
No.
So they were like, okay, we'll see. And I was like, no, we're not going to see. I am going to win.
But that's it. You manifested it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm looking back and I think, yes. If you really want to win, then you have to say that you want to win. But now, I think if I'd entered that competition now, I would have been much more like, I would want us all to win.
Okay.
I probably wouldn't have won because I was trying to make everyone else win also.
So maybe a second place or third
Yeah, second place.
But really, congratulations with that as well.
Thank you.
We are looking forward to the book.
Great.
I feel like it was an unfair tease because it's like in a year.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy that you could come and not only share your insights, but your story and your philosophy behind, your journey. But I know you're very busy, so before I let you leave, do you feel there's something we have overlooked, a part of the puzzle that...
No, well, I'm always coming out with new songs. So if, anyone, while they're waiting for the book, they can always check out my new songs. I have a great new one, just came out, called This Is It.
This is it.
It's a little bit about the philosophy and some of the things we've talked about today. So, yeah.
So This Is It, probably available on all streaming platforms.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Hanne. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, it was so nice to be here. So nice to talk to you.
And hopefully you come back after the book or way before.
Yes, I would love to.
Excellent.